The Nyeri Desert is a sight to behold. This is Nyeri Desert. Our journey begins in Isinya. We meet up with the rest of the crew in Total Isinya before we drive down Namanga Road towards Kajiado. We branched off just before Kajiado town towards Imaroro. We made it to Selengei town and branched off to the right so we could start looking for Nyeri Desert. One thing to note is none of us in the crew knew exactly where Nyeri Desert was. So we were following a pin on the map, but we were mostly winging it. We went through this dried up riverbed. The sand here was extremely soft and the cars began to sink. It became apparent that we needed to air down our tires so we could continue with our journey. While waiting for the rest of the crew to air down, we couldn't help but be amazed by the views here. Judging by the width of this lager, it's terrifying to imagine the amount of water that flows through here during the rainy season. We tried having some fun here, but we were no match for the deep and soft sand. Doing this for too long would overheat and ruin your transmission. The cars were struggling to drift in the soft sand, so we gave up and decided to continue with our journey. I would highly recommend you to engage four-wheel drive when on sand. For context, this is what happens when you try to do it in two-wheel drive. You sink faster than you can say, "I am stuck." I was stuck, but four-wheel drive was here to save the day. I was out with little to no effort. Most of our journey was going to be off-road from here. We left the riverbed thinking it was going to be an easy journey to the desert. To put it lightly, we were not ready. One of the obstacles we faced were roads that just end, like this one. Our navigation maps did not even know where we were going anymore. We had made a turn at a small town called Emotoroki, and now we were truly in the wilderness. There was no human settlement to be seen for miles. The sight of electric poles meant we were getting closer to Lengizim town. We were hopeful. At this point, we were a few kilometers from where the pin on the map said was Nyeri Desert. The cactus and the heat in this place kinda reinforced that. This is Lengizim Shopping Center. We had made it to Nyeri Desert, or so we thought. Where is Nyeri Desert? We asked ourselves. The pin on the map said this was it, but this did not look like a desert. We looked around, but no. This place was just arid and maybe a grassland, but it did not look much of a desert to us. So where was it? We concluded that the pin was wrong. We made it to this clearing that looked interesting, but we were not yet there. This was not what we were looking for. On the off-road, always be keen on where you're driving, because I almost drove right off this cliff. A few minutes later, we were in this open grassland. Was this Nyeri Desert? No. But it's interesting that nothing else grows here, just grass. I missed my turn. I stopped here to wait for the rest of the crew so that no one else misses the turn. We exited to this road that links the Amboseli Iremito gate to the Oloitoktok road. But we still hadn't found our destination, so we ventured deeper into the wilderness. Oops, we missed another turn. We had found a large clearing on the map that resembled what we were looking for, and the road to the left would lead us there. This was barely a road, and I ended up following the wrong track for a while before I realized I was on the wrong path. Woohoo! We made it. This is Nyeri Desert. After hours of looking, it turns out it's just close to the Emali Oloitoktok Road. It had been a long day, but making it here was the highlight of our journey. We had started this journey blindly. I did some research afterward, and it turns out we had been in the Nyeri Desert since we left Selengei. The entire region north of Amboseli, north and east of Amboseli, is the Nyeri Desert. Most of it is full of shrubs and trees, but it's considered as the Nyeri Desert. And this vast open area, full of nothingness, is one of the places that stands out. It usually fills up with water during the rainy season, that's why there's no vegetation. The views here were unmatched. The open vastness ignited the inner rally drivers in us. So we spent some time pretending to be rally car drivers and drift kings. This was fun. The sun was setting, so we made our way across the desert so we could get an amazing sunset from the other side. The sunset here was unmatched. Mount Kilimanjaro made an appearance to the left of the screen, but it wasn't clear enough for the cameras. As the sun went down, we could not resist having a bit more fun in the wilderness. Darkness was rolling in, so we had to find our way to our campsite near Kimana. Before long, we were back on tarmac. This is the Emali Oloitoktok Road. In the dark of night, we made our way to our campsite, which was like a kilometer or two from the highway. We set up our tents, had supper, and sat around the campfire for a while before we retired to bed. Good morning. This is Camp Ontepesi. We woke up to an amazing sunrise and a view of Mount Kilimanjaro. This is an amazing campsite. You can camp here with your own tent for 1,500 shillings, and you can have meals prepared if you don't want to cook. We just had our breakfast and it was time to leave for a short game drive in Amboseli National Park. We passed Kimana town before branching off towards Amboseli. This is Amboseli National Park. The first section of the road after the gate is really bad, and the potholes are We stopped over for a quick break at the viewpoint before we started making our way out. We drove over the dried up Lake Amboseli as we made our way to the Meshanani Gate. We left the park and drove into one of the worst roads ever. The corrugations here are just pure torture. Just imagine driving on rumble strips for 50 kilometers. So if you have an SUV, the trick here is air down your tires and drive fast, over 60 kph. Just remember to watch out for the livestock and wildlife crossing the road. And if you don't have ABS, that is anti-lock braking system, engage four-wheel drive to ensure you maintain control. And after almost an hour of pure torture, Namanga appearing on the horizon was a relief we were waiting for. Before starting our journey back to Nairobi, we checked into Shell to fuel up, air up, and do a quick spanner check to make sure that the car wasn't falling apart after driving on the bad roads. And as we make our way back to Nairobi, I'll say, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you around.